What is life like as a wrestling fan? What is life as a wrestling fan? Life in wrestling is all about indie stars and why they need to be pushed into WWE. Why Roman Reigns is forced down our throats, even though he's been working hard for 4 years. But when indie stars get pushes within 2 to 3 months, everybody is okay with it. But there are fans out there that really know that is forced down your throat. When fans ask for new talent to be pushed, and when they want new stars to be pushed, WWE do that in Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Jinder Mahal, Jason Jordan. They do that with a lot of other guys. Even Alexa Bliss and Carmella. But they're among others. But fans reject these new stars. Do you want to know why they don't do you want to know why they reject these new stars? Why do they reject these people? It's not because they never came from a Ring of Honor. It's because they never came from a New Japan. It's because they never came from a TNA. That's why. That's why fans reject these people. If you're not from New Japan or TNA or Ring of Honor, fans will reject you. Oh, and that actually gives me an idea. Just give me one more second. I am a real wrestling fan, and I understand the meanings of new talents, new people need to be pushed, and when you're forcing down our throats too far. Now, I know I don't like Roman Reigns as much as other people, but at least Roman Reigns can say he's been in the WWE's payroll for the past 4, maybe 5 years. And that is considered shoved down your throat. But when someone like Asuka, who's only been on the main roster for about 3 months, and that's not considered as a force down your throat, you see that as a good booking move. You call that a good way to build a new star. What makes Asuka so important? Asuka has been wrestling in Japan for so many years, and she was on NXT for about 2 years. So how is that forced down our throats? So how is Roman being forced, but not Asuka? That's one thing I think people need to understand. Why is Roman Reigns more hated than Asuka should be? Asuka should be where Roman Reigns is, with boos. Asuka was the minor leagues champion, and yes, I'm considering NXT as a minor league, because that's where everybody starts. She was the minor leagues champion for 33 days, and that automatically considers her as one of the greatest NXT women's champions of all time, so that should guarantee her a massive push on the main roster. Why? She shouldn't. That's not how things work. That's not how things work. So, I made a list. Well, actually, this is not what... This is the list here. I've made a list of things that I've written down what life is like as a wrestling fan. And you can't read this because you'll find it very hard to see. Which is what I'm doing here. This is what life is like as a wrestling fan, in my opinion. What my life is like as a wrestling fan. Number one, WWE is all about the indie wrestlers. Now, this is a very easy one. Now, like I said, there are indie guys I like, so I am not bashing on them. I'm not saying they suck. I'm not saying I don't want to like them anymore. But I'm saying that WWE fans, including those Smark fans that I hate so much, when they say, which is my next point, which is going to be my next point, when they say they want new stars, they don't mean new stars. They mean indie guys, which leads me to my next point. Number two, new stars getting rejected. New stars getting rejected, such as people like Jinder Mahal, and like I said, I don't like him, and I don't like Jinder Mahal either. But this is just me bringing up a point, so don't go ahead and think, oh, I like Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Jason Jordan, etc. Lana, Carmella and Lana, etc. When fans want new stars being built, oh, I guess I should add Enzo and Cass, even though Enzo More is not in WWE anymore, but I'm just going to add them as well. When they want new stars being built, they want people to focus on the future of professional wrestling. And all those names I just mentioned, including Enzo and Cass, they're new stars. They're trying to push these new people, but you all reject them. You all reject them. Let's run down the reasons why you reject them. Jason Jordan. Oh, apparently he sucks. He's a good wrestler. Let's look at Jason Jordan. He's a good wrestler, but shouldn't be a mid-card main event talent. He is forced down our throats. How is Jason Jordan forced down your throat? Were you saying that when he was with the American Alpha in NXT? Were you saying that when he was tag team champion with Chad Gable? No, you weren't. You weren't saying he was forced down your throat then. Why are you saying it now? Which leads me to a point, which is my last point, but I'll get to that in a minute. Why do people like Lana get rejected? Oh, it's because everybody sees her as another Eva Marie who can't wrestle. I don't see the problem with that. It's called building new stars. It's called giving people a chance. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Now, I like Mandy Rose more than Sonya, but this is bullshit. This leads me to this is where I need to speak up. These two girls, as well as Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, I don't like Sarah Logan as much as other people. I like Liv Morgan. Okay? I like Liv Morgan. You know, I like Mandy Rose. Like I said, I don't mind Sonya Deville, but I just prefer Rose more. How can you make a new star? What is the number one rule? This is the number one rule to the Smarks. The number one rule to the Smarks, how to make a new star, is for them to be in NXT. Okay, Mandy Rose was in NXT. She only had 2 matches. How do you expect to build Mandy Rose in NXT if you only gave her 2 matches? She comes onto the main roster. Again, new star. There's a new star right in front of our faces. And then people will say, and then the Smarks say, no one will know who Mandy Rose is. no one knows who Sonya Deville are. They're new. That's what you get from new stars. That's what you get for new stars. You don't expect them to know who they are. What, do you want them to, have a promo package of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville? How can they have a video package of them when they barely did anything in NXT? NXT was killing their careers. I bet Mandy Rose was on the verge of getting cut in NXT. I think the main roster has done more good for Rose and Deville than NXT ever did for them. And I'm being serious. I think Raw has done better for Rose and Deville. They're being featured, they're being utilized, and they're getting pushed. And this was the complaints that Smarks was saying. Oh, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville have barely been featured on NXT. How are we supposed to take them seriously if they've never been focused in NXT? Why? What is it with NXT? How can Mandy Rose get TV time when you focus so much on Asuka when she was there and Ember freaking Moon? How can she get TV time when you focus so much on the same person every single week? No, it's not because she wasn't good enough. It's because they were lazy to use her. So in my opinion, whether you hate my opinion or not, Monday Night Raw has actually saved Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville's careers. This will help them more negative. This will help them more because they'll get featured on TV. They will be featured on television. They will be utilized, like you say. But no, they're not ready. They need to be sent back to NXT. Bullshit. Send them back to NXT. More like you want them back in NXT so they can join the NXT catering for the next 3 years. So then that way Triple H can say, you're fired, Mandy Rose. You're fired, Sonya Deville. That's why you want them in NXT. Same thing for Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. Okay, Sarah Logan, I kind of agree. She needs to be in NXT. But the thing is that when you bring someone up to NXT to the main roster, then you can't automatically decide to send them down to NXT. Oh, sorry, unless if you're... Oh, that's right. Emma got sent down to NXT. Why did she get sent down for NXT? Oh, because she stole a purse. Because Emma stole the purse years ago, a couple of years ago, back in 2013. She gets sent back down to NXT because she stole a purse. Ty Dillinger never got sent back to NXT. His Royal Rumble appearance wasn't his debut on the main roster. It wasn't. I'm just being honest with you guys. Stop complaining. New stars, they're right in front of your face. What's wrong with the whole term of giving them a chance? No, you can't give them a chance. Because you have to be negative. Screw you. Let's move on to the next. Well, there would have been more about the new stars, but I think you know where I'm coming from. New stars that WWE want to push, everyone rejects. Jinder Mahal, I understand. But everybody else, no, I don't understand. Why WWE, well, there's one more after this, but I want to get onto this one first. Why WWE can't always build behind the indie stars? This is a very good point. Or does it say push? I can't remember because I'm not sure because my writing is garbage. But WWE can't focus on the indie people so much. They can't. Indie wrestlers are so what? It's so what? They're indie stars. Doesn't mean they need to be pushed. They don't need rocket launchers put on their backs and be rocket launched to the main event. Shinsuke Nakamura, I understand, fine. But still, he's the same thing. You can't focus on him all the time. There's one more thing I want to bring up on Shinsuke, by the way. People want him to win the Royal Rumble. Okay, I get that, and I agree with that. But why is this sort of an issue? Why is this sort of a problem? I'll tell you why. He had a really bad 2017. He had a really bad 2017. He got ruined. He had the worst time of his life losing to Jinder Mahal, which was not Jinder's, which by the way, I actually want to mention that if Jinder Mahal, or should I say, if Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't happy with the fact that he was told that he has to lose to Jinder Mahal, then he could have always, had an issue with it, and he could have always just said, no, I do not want to lose to Jinder Mahal. I need to win. He could have always just done that. And no, I'm not making fun of him, by the way. Before you people go ahead and think I'm making fun of him. Shinsuke Nakamura has had a pretty bad year. So how can someone like me believe Shinsuke Nakamura should win the Royal Rumble if he hasn't really done much? This is his second match in 2017, and you expect me... 2018. Sorry, I'm almost like I'm reliving 2017 again. 2018. He's had 2 matches in 2018, and you expect me to believe Shinsuke Nakamura can win the Royal Rumble? The only way I can believe Shinsuke Nakamura, if Shinsuke Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble, fine, I'm not going to hate on that. I agree with you, he should win the Royal Rumble. But then again, he hasn't been utilized much to make people believe he should. Sure, fans like him, but the thing is that Shinsuke, when he wins the Royal Rumble, Shinsuke needs to be built for 3 straight months, looking strong, heading into his pay-per-view match. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Same thing for Asuka. Why does she need to win the Royal Rumble? It's because she's the only legit person. What? She's the only legit person to win it. Excuse me? So you're saying Sasha isn't legit anymore? So you're saying Bayley isn't legit anymore? So you're saying Nia Jax ain't legit anymore? You're saying Becky Lynch ain't legit anymore? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Bullshit. That is it. Bullshit. Wasn't it years ago that people said that Royal Rumble is all about building new stars? It gives new stars opportunities to do something that they haven't really done. Asuka has been built enough. So an NXT, so her run in the minor leagues for 2 straight years as NXT Women's Champion isn't enough for you. People complain about Roman Reigns being forced down our throats, when really Asuka is the definition of forced down our throats. She's the definition of it. 3 months in, and she's already a favourite to win the Women's Royal Rumble. I even recently listened to King Schmidt's Pipe Bomb. And we've also got received word that Ronda Rousey will not be at the Royal Rumble. Fine, I'm not going to complain about that. I don't really care if Ronda Rousey came or if she didn't come. But what he said puzzled me. He said that he would prefer Asuka winning than Ronda Rousey. So, are you saying Asuka is better than a former UFC Women's Champion? Is that what you're telling me, buddy? Look, I'm not hating on you. I'm not calling you out. But is that what you're telling me? You're telling me Asuka is better than a former UFC Bruiserweight Champion or whatever she was? Ronda Rousey can knock Asuka out in one punch. Asuka is boring. I can't stand Asuka's matches. All Asuka does is kick, 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 kick. Spinning and punch, punch, punch. Back punch. Spinning back punch. And submission holds. Bum to the face. Dance around and smack her bum. Can someone tell me why you think Asuka is a good wrestler? I don't think Asuka is a good wrestler. I think she's garbage. I think she's boring. Again, back to what I said about the women, about the Royal Rumble. It's all about building new stars and making new stars and making them relevant. So why is Asuka the center of attention? Why is Asuka the one that is 100% needed? Why does Asuka 100% need it more than Sasha Banks, than Bayley, than Mickie James, than Becky Lynch, than the newer up and coming stars like Mandy Rose and Deville, Dana Brooke? Okay, maybe not Dana Brooke, and Alicia Fox. Maybe not Alicia Fox either, but you get my point. Why does it have to be Asuka? What? So you think someone like a Becky Lynch winning doesn't make sense? You think someone like Sasha Banks winning doesn't make sense? You think someone like Bayley winning doesn't make sense? You think someone like Natalya winning doesn't make sense? Unless if it's Asuka, it makes perfect sense. But anybody else, no, it doesn't make sense. So, more like, with the fans saying Royal Rumble is all about building new stars and making new names and making these new names relevant, it's more like making the name that you want relevant. That's what that tells me. You want who you want to be relevant. It's not all about what you want. Why do you think Vince McMahon has been ignoring the fans? Because he's tired of listening to what the fans want. I hope Asuka doesn't win the Women's Royal Rumble. I hope it's someone who we least expect. I want it to be unpredictable. When Asuka gets thrown over the top rope, and when both of her feet hit the floor, I will be smiling to no end. And I'll be listening to everybody bitch and whine and complain to no end, and I will be loving it. Now, to be perfectly fair, I will be perfectly fair to you. The only thing that concerns me about the Women's Royal Rumble, if you want me to hate on the Women's Royal Rumble, the only way I will ever do that is not because Asuka winning. No. Because honestly, if Asuka wins, at least it's someone that's on the main roster. At least it's someone that's on the current roster. Oh, why are you bitching about her? Why do you think she shouldn't win? Well, I'm bitching about the fact that she shouldn't win is because everybody keeps raving on about how good she is. She's overhyped. She's way overhyped. Forced down our throats. Alright, fine. If Asuka wins, yeah, then maybe I'll bitch on the match. But I will still enjoy the match. I want to enjoy the Women's Royal Rumble. I want it to be unpredictable. The only way me shitting on the Royal Rumble is that if it becomes too overly predictable that Asuka's gonna win, or unless if they get Stephanie McMahon in the match. Now I know Stephanie McMahon is joining commentary, but we have seen commentators step in a Rumble. So I wouldn't put it past WWE to put her in the match. Let's move on to my next. So anyway, my two situations have been dealt with. Let's move on to my next point. Why pushing new stars is better. Again, people like Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Liv Morgan, Jason Jordan, and other people, Lana, Carmella, Jason Jordan, and among others. Why do I believe pushing them is better? Because pushing them will make people care. It will make people care, and people will start reacting to them. But no, to you fans, if someone like Mandy Rose gets pushed, to you, it's forced down our throats, which moves on to my next. Stop forcing indie stars down our throats. Now, the reason why I put the word indie stars instead of superstars in general is because the fact that apparently if you're born into the WWE, if you are a wrestler that has started in WWE, and if you've never been in the indies, to schmucks, that means you're being forced down our throats. So Jason Jordan is being forced down our throats, even though WWE is building a new star in him. Again, it's the same thing with Rose and Deville and Morgan. When you're building them, it's forced. It's coming off forced. It's coming off forced. Amazing. It's amazing how you people think. It's coming off forced that Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville and Liv Morgan are getting pushed. But no, when it's a Shinsuke Nakamura winning a championship within 1 month, that's not being forced. That is good booking. Finn Balor winning the Universal Championship within his first month, no, it's not forced. It's good booking. No, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you guys on that. I have to heavily disagree with you on that. At least now, like I said, I'm not a big Roman Reigns fan myself, but Roman Reigns, he's been in the company for 4 years, and WWE have been building him for the past 4 years, and you people consider that forced. But when someone like Asuka or Balor or Joe or anybody else haven't been pushed or haven't been booked or haven't been, winning matches or winning championships, or when they win a championship within the first few months of their arrival, you think that's good booking, but then people will see that's being forced. I think if you win championships within the first few months of your career, I call that forced. People who have been working hard for years and years and years are people that deserve a push. Are people that actually work for their pushes. Which leads me to my final points as a wrestling fan. What is life like as a wrestling fan? You know, if you like a wrestler, you want to cheer for them. You want to love them. You want to support them. You want to buy their t-shirts. You would want to buy their merchandise. That's what you do as a wrestling fan, right? This leads me to my final point. Fans turning on their favorite wrestlers from NXT. Now, if you want to know what I'm talking about, people loved Jason Jordan when he was in the American Alpha with Chad Gable on NXT and SmackDown Live. He splits away from Chad Gable, moves to Raw, and starts a new character. People turn on him. They hate on him. They boo him. And they think he's forced down our throats. Let's move on to the next few wrestlers. Enzo and Cass. People loved them as a tag team. Right? Everyone was praising their work in NXT. About how great they are. And how great they would make great talents for the main roster. They come up to the main roster. Yeah, they get some good reactions. Yeah, people care. But then once they break up, no one cares about them. No one cares about Cass. No one cares about Enzo. How is that being a loyal wrestling fan? How is that being a wrestling fan? Sasha Banks and Charlotte, everybody has been wanting the horsewomen on the main roster because of all their hard work in NXT. Sasha and Charlotte have a 12-month feud. People start calling them forced down their throats. Bayley, the most over person in NXT. People love Bayley. People adored Bayley in NXT. She comes up to the main roster, wins the Raw Women's Championship, then loses the title to Bliss a few months later, and now everybody starts calling her cringe, calling her boring, and people laughed at her when she got injured. You people loved her in NXT. What's with the hate? Why do you hate her now all of a sudden? Now I could go on and on and on. I could go on. There are more wrestlers than just them. I was using them because they were the best examples. If there's any other person that I could use the example for, is possibly nearly everybody, probably nearly everyone, except if your name is Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor. Unless if your name is Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura, the Smark fans will always defend them. How can you go from turning your back to wrestlers that you adored in NXT, then start hating them? Why? Why? Tell me why. Besides booking. Don't blame the booking. Don't blame the booking. Tell me why. Why did you all of a sudden turn your back on these wrestlers? Watching wrestling is all about liking wrestlers. That's what it's all about. It's all about liking wrestlers, buying their t-shirts, and getting everything you like about this wrestler. And NXT, you love them, but then when they come to the main roster, you all of a sudden hate them? How does that work? How? But anyway, guys, that, to me, is what life is like as a wrestling fan. I find this, everything I writ down, I find this the stuff that we put up with as wrestling fans. I think it's bogus, and I think it's completely unfair. It is not hard to accept new stars that we get. If you don't like them, that's fine. But, you know, at least accept that they're making new stars. But whenever they do decide to push new stars, you hate it. If they're not from the indies, if they're not from the indies, you won't care. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna shit on the indie guys. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to give you guys from now on my personal feelings about every Raw and every SmackDown the way I presented to you with what I said on my script. I'm going to be using this book to keep track of what I see on TV and whether I think it's a good thing or a bad thing. So let me run through my list again. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit here hours explaining to you everything again. All about the indie wrestlers. No, it should not be all about the indie wrestlers. Everybody should be treated equally. New stars getting rejected. Again, I think that's bullshit. Why Asuka should not win the Women's Royal Rumble? Well, easy, because she's forced. Why WWE can't always focus on the indie wrestlers? Because it will draw. Because there are other people that need to be pushed besides indie wrestlers. Why indie wrestlers should not be forced down our throats? Because then you'll get people bagging them because schmarks hate on Roman. Why fans turning their backs on their favorite wrestlers from NXT? Like I said with what I just said, when these stars in NXT are booked the right way, and then once they come up to the main roster, they all of a sudden become the most hated wrestlers on the roster. So anyway, guys, that is all. This is the book that I read it in. I think you fans are complete, utter ridiculous. You can like your indie wrestlers if you want, but be bloody fair. Be freaking fair. Stop this bullshit. Stop this forced down our throats bullshit. Stop this buried bullshit. Stop this forced bullshit. And accept that we need new stars. We don't always need Asuka. It's and it's going to happen, and you people are going to say that when the day that Asuka and all them leave. You're going to say, what are WWE going to do now when they leave? It's because, and NXT is the same thing. NXT barely has a division. The women's division is absolutely trash. Besides Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they're on their way out. They're on their way out to the main roster. And the NXT men's division is absolutely awful because they don't have a mid-card division. NXT need a mid-card. That's how their stars in NXT are going to get over, if they have a mid-card. So anyway, guys, that has been my video on what is life like as a wrestling fan. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you've got anything to say, comment down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And also hit that dislike button if you can't stand what I'm saying. I guess I'll add that on there. Hit that subscribe button if you want to subscribe to this channel. And also hit the bell so you'll be notified when I post a new video. Anyway guys, thank you all for joining me. And I'll see you all next time in my next video, which could possibly be the Royal Rumble. Actually, my next video could be, I'm actually thinking of maybe doing another video later on today, but right now, I'm going to show you guys something really quick before I go. I got the new Dragon Ball Z game. I'll be doing a review on this game, but also after a few days of playing, after today and maybe tomorrow, I'll give you guys my early thoughts on this game. And then I'll do an all-out review on it. Thank you all for joining me. And I'll see you all in my next video. Catch you all later.